I do not want to sound like a doctor. I know you do, so if you're comfortable with that, because you do know more about the stuff that's going on inside the human body than I do. I got no clue. I couldn't even really tell you exactly what an oblique injury is. I mean, I know the general area we're talking about, but I don't know anything about this stuff. So I've got no reason to refute whatever it is the Niners and Christian choose to do tonight. I just look at it from the perspective of A, how do football teams really go about making a decision like this? How do they think about it? And B, this for me is an extension of the usage conversation that we've been having. I think it is a figment of our imagination that in some way we can protect Christian. In other words, it's like, oh, we can't have 400 touches. Okay, so 360 means he's going to be fine. Right. It's just you've got to wrap your head around the risk that happens every single time that the 49ers suit up. And every time they do, it may mean somebody goes down. Last time they played, 3 major names went down. And they were missing a major name to start the game in Dre Greenlaw. And it ended up being their first loss. That risk happens again tonight at 5:15. And there's absolutely no way around that. So if he's cleared by doctors who know what they're doing, he's good with it, the team's good with it, and he thinks he can help them win what I would refer to as a massive football game, then here's your helmet, here are your pads, and we will see you at the 50-yard line to start this game.
But they're all massive, so is this game any bigger than next week's game against Cincinnati? Maybe a little bit because it's a divisional, not a divisional, but a conference opponent.
And road game.
Yeah, if Minnesota is actually going to be there at the end, maybe it becomes a tiebreaker, although I don't think that Minnesota is going to have the year that they thought they were going to have. They're 2-4 and off to a bit of a tough start, but if Minnesota wins this game, suddenly they're back into the playoff conversation at 3-4. Is it a bigger game than next week against Cincinnati? Probably. And then the week after that, you do have a bye, so I think you have to look at mitigating factors such as, if you rest him here and you rest him again on Sunday, next Sunday, can you buy him 3 weeks to get this torn oblique, a small tear, according to Jay Glazer? Can you get it better in 3 weeks? Or what's the risk of going back out there and having this tear become worse and maybe ultimately making you miss multiple weeks and having you come out of the bye and miss more games after just next week?
Look, I get it. If Christian McCaffrey were to go out there tonight and something were to get aggravated or the same injury got worse, the 49ers are opening themselves up to a bunch of criticism. I get that. But it could be anything else, or he could get through this thing healthy. I will tell you, I used to hate this quote when I covered him, but you remember Henry Bibby was the head coach at USC for a while.
Mike's dad.
Anytime you asked anything with regard to, the size of this game, he would look at you and he would go, well, this is our biggest game because it's our next game.
Right.
And I sort of want to borrow that sentence tonight. The biggest game of the year for the 49ers is the game against the Vikings in 2.5 hours because it's their next game. And I have no idea who's going to be healthy or what the scenario is that's in play for 6 days from now when the Bengals come to town. No clue. Are everybody's quarterbacks ready to go? No clue. Don't know. But what I do know is this is what's available tonight, and the 49ers have to and should treat every single time they suit up like an absolute must-win because it might be. Don't we all agree that the 1 seed, for me, that's the focus right now. I don't think about the Super Bowl. I don't really even think about the division that comes along with it. I think about the 1 seed. And if you think about it from that perspective, yeah, man, you got to put your best foot forward every time you play.
Right, you do. But at the same time, when you're dealing with injuries, and Christian McCaffrey is injured, is he so injured that he can't play? We don't know. Only he and the medical staff know. Even Kyle Shanahan doesn't know. It comes down to the medical people and McCaffrey. Is it pain threshold? If it is, then McCaffrey's going to play. I totally expect that to be the case. But if it's a tear that can be made worse by playing, well, then there's a discussion to be had between the medical people and Christian McCaffrey himself. Because, yes, this game is very important. The next most important game is the game next week, and I like that from Henry Bibby, and he's right, especially when it comes to football. In the NFL, every game is as important as any other game. You only get 17 of them, and you're not worried about the Seattle games or the Arizona game or the Ram game or the Philadelphia game and all the rest of these games, the Washington game, the Baltimore game, and all these other games that happen toward the end of the year. It's this one game. And yes, you want to win, but you don't want to sacrifice Christian McCaffrey and risk him getting hurt and having him miss multiple games just to try to win this one game.
That I agree with, but to me, that all comes down to the same question. It really, for me, it is simple. It's just, are you healthy and are you ready to play? If you are, you play. If you're not, you don't. The scenarios.
But it's never that black and white.
Well,
there's always gray area.
Right, but what I don't think comes into play is, well, where are we on the schedule?
Agreed.
Who's our opponent?
Well, I agree to an extent.
Do we think the opponent is good? Are they kind of good? Are they sort of good? Are they not very good?
I think all that weighs into it.
Well, I think that everybody is a threat. If Mac Jones can score 29 points and go on a game-winning drive, do you think Carolina's going 0-17? That means that if the answer, I think no. I think they're going to beat someone, which means somebody is going to get ready for a football game where they're like, Carolina, and lose. I got knocked out of the survivor pool yesterday, okay? I had the Bills.
No.
Yeah, there was nobody to take.
You had the Bills.
I had the Bills.
Yeah,
I had the Bills.
How many other people had the Bills?
I think a lot. I haven't even gone to the site. It's too painful.
Too
painful. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's take some football calls. Let's hear from you. 888-957-9570. Let's go to Charles in South City. Hey, Charles, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What you doing, man?
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
We're great, man. How about you?
I'm good. Good to hear you guys again on the line. Sorry for the background. I'm having a little installment done on the house. But anyway, what I think the 49ers should do with C-Mac tonight, I feel like they should put him in maybe a couple plays, but even that might be risky. But this is just my opinion. If it's me, if I was in charge, I wouldn't even put C-Mac in, because that oblique injury could get 10 times as worse. And it only takes one play. One play to mess your whole system up, and I would hate to see any player go down on the field, but especially C-Mac for how good he is. I mean, I'm not even a 49er fan, but I would hate to see C-Mac as good as he is go down. So if it's me, I wouldn't want to see C-Mac hurt, and I could probably sum this up in the best way possible for you guys, and especially for you too, Dibs. If you're Kyle Shanahan, you're like, well, Christian, I don't know what we can do for you and stuff. And if you really want to play that bad, we could probably put you in a few plays and stuff. And, hey, hopefully nothing happens. And that's it. And hopefully things go well for you guys.
And stuff.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Very good, Charles.
That was not bad.
Very good.
That was not bad.
You brought it home.
Listen, I get it. I really do. My mind just sort of processes this a little bit differently when someone goes, hey, I don't want to put him out there because XYZ, something bad could happen. Right. That's true for everybody who's on the field tonight. All of them.
But this is different.
I don't know that it is. I'm not a doctor.
But it's different because he has an injury.
Right, but supposedly there is at least the whisper early in the week that it's not the type of injury that gets worse based on hits. I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I have no clue.
I don't have a deep history of oblique tears, even a minor oblique tears, but I know that that's out there. But whether or not you can get hit and have it get worse, how did he get hurt in the first place?
Playing football.
Right, yeah. But he doesn't know. So are you telling me that a twist or a pull or a reach or anything else that you do with your oblique can't make this worse?
I have no idea.
As opposed to standing with a ball cap on in sweatpants?
Of course not. But that's not what we're doing here.
That's exactly what we're doing.
No, like that, which does what? Like it saves you for next week when the exact same risk
or after the bye,
again.
exactly.
And then after the bye, the exact same risk.
Why is Debo not playing?
Because he's got a broken bone.
It's a hairline fracture.
Right, which hurts like hell.
Right.
And I would imagine if it gets hit, there's a good chance that it snaps further. That's what I would imagine. Again, not a doctor, no clue about any of this stuff. I just have a trust in the people who professionally do this to not put their best player in what would be a poor risk-reward situation. There is inherent risk. I guess what we're trying to access is how much higher is the risk for Christian than it would be for other players.
Right.
And if that's a nominal number, then I don't know what the hesitation is because it's football and they all might get hurt.
Well,
all of them.
They will do the calculations, and therefore I don't have to worry about what that risk reward is because they're doing it. And they've seen the MRI, and they know his pain tolerance. And I'm sure at this hour, the game kicks off in 2 hours and 20-some-odd minutes. And so I'm sure he's already either getting padded up or in his uniform and going through some warm-ups, and he's probably letting them know, I'm good. Or, yeah, I'm not sure. Let me get the needle, and I'll get back to you in an hour, and we'll see how I feel.
90 minutes out is when they absolutely 100% have to list their actives and inactives. But there's always a tell, and that is who they elevate from the practice squad.
Right.
Well, that's already out. And guess what? They did not elevate any more running backs.
Right.
They elevated wide receiver Chris Conley, and they elevated
a
cornerback. So that would suggest to me that all of the reports we've been hearing for a few days now are accurate, and I am expecting Christian McCaffrey to be active in this football game tonight.
I like that in terms of a tell, and I saw the same thing, and my only question was, and I don't have the information in front of me, but do they have another running back on the practice squad?
Oh, that's a good question.
Thank you. I count that. And
I work here.
If they do, I would be surprised if that running back would actually get a taste of the football because you've got TDP, Ty Davis Price, who's barely played at all. He's been a glorified practice squatter, although he's been active most days on game day. So even if they did activate another running back, they may not go that route because that player probably wouldn't play anyway.
I'm trying to find the practice squad, and that takes a minute. So I am not. I'm not sure if they've got another running back on the practice squad. But you're right. Yeah, it's Jordan Mason. It's TDP. By the way, it's TDP's birthday today.
Nice.
Yeah.
Can we get him a carry?
Probably not. Is what I'm thinking. Probably not. But you're also right in that, like, there are 3 other running backs already on the active roster, and often one of those is deactivated sometimes anyway. So, like, if Christian weren't going to play, Eli Mitchell, Jordan Mason, and TDP. So maybe this isn't a tell.
Right.
But
normally it is a tell, and I like that. I like that intel from you.
Yeah.
That's really good work by you, Mark. Good
thank
hustle.
you. I really appreciate you looking out for me like that.
No problem, because I saw the same thing, and I didn't actually connect the dots. I did see that a wide receiver, Conley, got elevated, and I thought, well, that makes sense because Debo's out, and you do need to have additional wide receivers active just in case, but I didn't see the running back get elevated, and I actually thought to myself, I wonder who that is. If they even is Trey Sermon still around?
Trey Sermon is not.
Joe Williams? Is the ghost of Joe Williams?
Trey is still bouncing around maybe on the Eagles practice squad.
Oh, God.
Something like
he's
that.
Somewhere.
Yeah, he's somewhere, but
giving him intel.
He is not here.